Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Victory Monday edition of Birds 365. The Eagles get the win in Wildcard weekend, and we're moving on to the divisional round, everybody. This is Birds 365. That's your host, Sean McMullen. I'm your host, Zander Krause. Thanks for being here this morning, everybody. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
I'm doing well. I mean, pretty impressive performance, maybe a little bit different than people expected, but, I kind of look at it like they took the 7-0 lead, 3 plays into the game, and I don't think the rest of the way the Packers got closer than 6, I believe. So, I thought it was a pretty impressive performance, but obviously not the prettiest one, as Nick Sirianni said after the game offensively. But overall, it's playoff football, man. You're playing good teams, and the goal is to win in advance. And I never got the feeling in the entire game from that Oren Burks set the tone early, and they took the quick lead. You never got a feeling that Green Bay was really threatening them in the game. So I thought it was a pretty impressive performance.
Yeah, good to hear you say that. My takeaways in the moment, I thought it was ugly watching, John. I did not think the team played their best game. I was hoping to see a little bit more out of the quarterback. But now that I've sat on it a little bit, I mean, I think that sentiment is the correct one. It's the playoffs, and things aren't going to always look great. But, John, one of my big takes from it is you don't play anywhere close to your best game. Defense has a bunch of missed tackles. Jalen Hurts has 130 passing yards in a very pedestrian effort. And you win the game by double digits. I think it shows you how versatile this team can be. And really, they're a tough out, man. I mean, if you win by double digits when you play nowhere close to your best ball, imagine what they can be at their best ball. Now, they have to reach that point. They have to get to that point. But I thought it was pretty impressive. The more I thought about it, late into the night last night, I did a show. We were on post-game, John, until midnight. I was on talking to the great people of JAKIB Nation. We had a couple people come on and give me the business, John. They were not happy with me being upset after a playoff win. And I just said, hey, listen, I got to be honest. I didn't think it was a championship effort or a Super Bowl effort, but it is good to get a playoff win. And now your sights will immediately start to turn toward the next opponent, which I think became a very favorable matchup for the Birds. You're going to have the Rams or the Vikings. So I feel pretty good where the team is now. But, John, are we at a point where we just don't need Jalen Hurts to be great? Is that where we've reached as a team? And if the answer is yes, I think that's perfectly fine. But is that where we have reached as a team where you really don't need your quarterback to be that great? Because he was my biggest concern from yesterday's game. You win by double digits. Is that where we've reached, Johnny Mac, with the quarterback?
Yeah, I'm from excuse me, already getting the voice shaky, but I don't think that was the case from the running aspect. I think we're only talking about the passing game. Like I think you saw what Jalen Hurts brings to the offense when it comes to that +1 that we always talk about, and how it makes things easier for Saquon, and makes that, if you're a defensive team, it's like, what do? When they're running that RPO and you can sell out to stop Saquon, but then Jalen might pull it, or vice versa. And you saw at the end of the game, he could have had, I don't know how long it would have been, 68 yards or something like that. He could have had the 68. They finally broke one tremendous pull block by Mekhi Becton. We've seen this throughout the years. Seal block inside by Jordan Mailata, Dallas Goedert. So, and they break it, and Saquon just slid to end the game. Not that it mattered at that point. It just would have made it 29-10 instead of 22-10, and I think people feel better. But I thought it was a pretty dominant performance. But they're playing a certain style of football that I don't think, they wanted to at the beginning of the season, but you have to give them credit for morphing as well and saying, all right, this isn't working, so we'll scale back and we'll do this and we'll ride Saquon Barkley and this offensive line, and maybe they can ride it all the way to a championship. I said last night on the post-game show, look, I think at some point they're going to need some big plays in the passing game to win a Super Bowl. But the hurdles are lessening. So maybe they can go win it like this. Who knows? Like, I can't see, and we got all week to talk about. We don't even know who the opponent's going to be, Minnesota or the Rams. I can't see either of those teams coming into Philadelphia winning a football
I can't
game.
either.
I can't even picture it.
Yeah. Me neither.
From the Rams' perspective, I'm at 99%. Maybe give Minnesota about a 10-15% chance, but not a good matchup for either of those teams coming into Philadelphia. And then you start talking about, are you most likely, you can cross your fingers and hope Washington upsets Detroit. I don't think that's happening. So you probably have to go through Detroit and then the Super Bowl. That's what you're talking about.
John, we've been talking about that collision course on Birds 365 for months now. Months. Many of us said it was inevitable that it was Eagles Lions there in the postseason, and I think that's what it's going to be. But we will see. Obviously, have to get through the divisional round first. But John, it was a formula win for the Eagles yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Defense plays great. Saquon plays great. Jalen, mediocre.
Didn't turn it over, though. They're didn't turn it over.
Hyper-focused, no turnovers, agreed. But not his best performer, not, kind of what he's been all year. This is where we are. We're a great running team. Jalen hasn't played great all year, and our defense is amazing. 4 turnovers for the defense yesterday. Well, 3 turnovers for the defense and 1 turnover for special teams. Big shout out to Oren Burks. That was a hell of a hit on the opening play of the game, John. How about that?
That's, and you're right. I mean, and I said yesterday, Oren's a great third linebacker. The problem is he's going to be a second linebacker moving forward.
Yes, he is.
And that is something to be a little bit concerned. We talked about the health of this team. So to lose Nakobe Dean at this point of the season is certainly disappointing. They were able to persevere, obviously, yesterday, already having the lead and playing from the lead. So that might be something to put an asterisk around, but Oren was great. And I can't tell you, well, now I can tell you, but during the week, they were so hyper-focused on special teams because they were that worried about Keyshawn Nixon as a kick returner. And they did a bunch of stuff, and they put Nolan Smith on kickoff returns. And by the way, what a game from Nolan Smith to be on top of what he did defensively on special teams. And Oren Burks set the tone on play one of the game. Play one of the game. They spent all week talking about Keyshawn Nixon. Don't give him space. Don't lose the field position game. Yeah. And they turn around. They won the game, you could argue in hindsight, on the first play. They get the fumble. 3 plays later, whatever it was, they score. 7-0 game. Green Bay never tied it, never got the lead. I mean, a complete tone-setting performance from Oren Burks, and then he came in, and you could see some of the holes. They were getting some stuff with Jacobs in the passing game. I'm a little bit concerned with that moving forward. But, even if you look at, and we were talking about it last night with Aaron Jones and Bucky Irving. Well, you don't have to worry about Bucky Irving anymore down the road. Aaron Jones is still a possibility, but they might not even beat the Rams. That team's leaking oil, I think. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, the hill just got larger without Nakobe Dean. Yeah. And let's be honest, Nakobe Dean can't deal with Jahmyr Gibbs. But
no, he can't. But Oren Burks can deal with him even less. And if you're Ben Johnson, I mean, it's very simple. Now, I don't want to go there yet because I do want to get by the divisional round. But just thinking ahead, like you always say, the team can't think ahead. We can.
Well, I can.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know what you do. You got to do something. Yeah, and Vic will figure it. Vic will do something unique if it comes to that. and put somebody else on Gibbs, or try to put somebody else on Gibbs. But
would he potentially go an extra safety there, or bring in, what's that called, big nickel?
yeah, he might, because that doesn't, the Eagles look great on paper versus the Rams. They look really good on paper against the Vikings. They don't look great on paper versus the Lions. But nobody does. That doesn't mean you can't have a big game day and shock the world, so to speak.
No doubt about it. I mean, look, the takeaway is here. Eagles missed tons of tackles, obviously, in the game. I thought that was the only part of the defense, really, that was not great, was the missed tackling. Nakobe Dean is down. Reed Blankenship, Darius Slay, and Gardner Johnson all missed some snaps. Hurts held the ball for way too long, and the offensive line was caught off guard by Green Bay's unique defensive looks. This is courtesy of Anthony DeBona, by the way. A.J. Brown had 1 reception for 10 yards. Jake Elliott missed an extra point, yet the Eagles forced 2 turnovers and won by 2 possessions. I mean, John, they're just this oddly dominant football team that even when they don't play anywhere close to their best, teams can't seem to hang with them. And I think it comes down to the trenches, John. They dominate most games in the trenches. Now, they didn't yesterday, I don't think. Green Bay, I was really impressed with their defensive line. A couple people were saying on the post-game show that the offensive line didn't have their best game. And the only thing I could think about,
I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think so either. The only thing I could think about, John, was the touchdown throw where I saw 5 offensive linemen on an island for 7 seconds. People off,
next gen stats, 6.75 seconds. You just don't see that. Nobody got within 2.5 yards of Jalen Hurts. That was the Jahan Dotson, the first touchdown. Now, look, when people, I don't know what people expect, but when defenses send more than you have to block, you're going to get home, and then it becomes the responsibility of the quarterback. The quarterback has a responsibility in pass protection. You got 5 guys. If you're sending 6, well, do the math. That's then. The quarterback is responsible for the 6th guy, and responsible. Right. Obviously, we're not talking about blocking him, but you have to understand where it's coming from. Get rid of the football. You're going to see a guy tonight, Matthew Stafford, against a blitzing team. He's going to throw right behind the fucking blitz like he always does because he knows what he's doing. The ball's going to come out of his hand. That's what you do. That's your responsibility as the quarterback. But, yeah, to say this offensive line was not dominant, again, I have to watch the game again. But I bet you it was dominant. And if you look at the last play, the Saquon run, just watch Becton, watch Mailata, and tell me that's not dominance. I don't. I think it was the typical Eagles offensive line performance. And if you ask me, everybody's going to say Saquon is the MVP of this team, and that's fine because, skill position players get, they get the attention, and he's had a phenomenal year. But the MVP of this team on the field is the offensive line. Continues to be.
Yep, no doubt about it. John, let's talk about that defense a little bit, man. How about Zach Baun making another play in crunch time when it matters the most? That guy's price goes up every day, and you said it perfectly on the postgame show. The magical season continues for Zach Baun, man. Really impressive stuff. But, John, 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. Darius Slay with a big one. Zach Baun.
Quinyon gets his first.
Quinyon, I got a jersey. John, I got a jersey. So Saquon Barkley goes down what? 3 or 4 yards shy of 125. I got the Quinyon jersey to give away. All right, so we're going to give away a Quinyon jersey for the.
By the way, he would have crushed the 125 if he didn't.
Oh, he would have crushed it. But I gave away 10. Everybody's good. I'm giving away a lot of stuff. I'll give away more stuff this week too. So I'm still giving away stuff all week long.
Well, that's good for the fan base and get them fired up. But yeah, it's not fun to be here, to the point that Packers writers were even screaming at the fans after the game. I mean, they're brutal. But a drunk female got it. I evidently saw Robert Saleh in the press box because he's been helping
I
out.
saw that tweet.
Because he's been helping out the Packers, and it was MF for this and MF for that, and it's kind of ugly. But yeah, teams don't want to come here. Now, I don't advocate that, but teams do not want to.
Why are they so mad at Robert Saleh?
It was just they were taunting him and that type of thing, and when it became clear that the Eagles were going to win the game, it is what it is. It's not pretty, but I just bring it up to say people do not like coming here.
Oh, no, they do not. John, analyze the quarterback for me because everybody's very upset with me. There's still people crying this morning in the chat that I was holding the quarterback last night. I don't think the quarterback played well. Now, what I'm learning is the quarterback.
Oh, he had 111 passer rating. 111 passer rating.
I mean, he didn't play good. But, John, can you give your perspective on? I don't want to cloud the question. I don't want to cloud what I think of it. What did you see from the quarterback yesterday, and how much of a concern or non-concern is the way he's playing to you?
I mean, it's not pretty. I mentioned on the post-game show as well, I was surprised Nick Sirianni got the simple question, what did you think of the offense? And I was stunned. As an offense, we struggled a little bit. He went right off the tip of the, mentioned no victory Monday. They're going to be back at work today, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, certainly the passing game isn't where it needs to be. But I will say this. Every time Green Bay did something, the Eagles answered. He's got this ability to, and I've said it many times, look crappy, and then he's making plays. And the big Dallas Goedert play, by the way, yeah, I was taunting. Where are the Dallas Goedert glass people today? When you see how physical he is on that freaking play.
Yeah, that was what an incredible.
He's been doing that for years. I'm like, these people even watch the games? This guy's one of the most physical players they got. 3 stiff arms. I was like Derrick Henry level stuff, just carrying the guy to the end zone. He's made of glass, though. He probably shouldn't have done it because he might have hurt himself doing it. But that's the way he plays. And then, by the way, on the seal block on the Barkley run, watch Goddard. Great seal block. But anyway, I digress.
By the way, A.J. Brown made a nice block on that Goddard run.
Yeah, he did. But I digress. I just can't stand those people, so I bring it up because he's one of the most physical players on the team. But
that was a hell of a run, man. That was
I don't know if Kyle Bryant still gives out his Angry Run Award, but Dallas has won it a bunch, and he'd win it again this weekend.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
That's a winner there.
Yeah,
that's a winner there.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to make plays and answer. When it was a 10-3 game, that's when they went right down the field with the Goddard play. Just bang, bang, bang. It's like, all right, where was this? And then it starts to go back to, all right, what's going on? And it's 16-10, and then they have a big drive again that ended in a field goal and essentially, made it a 2-score game. They got backed up with a couple holding calls. Otherwise, they probably would have scored on that drive. It's kind of, they've been able to turn on the light switch, which a little bit of concern because what if you don't turn on the light switch one time?
I don't know. They've turned it on so much, John. I'm having a hard time starting to believe that the other could be plausible because, sometimes you got to believe what they're showing you. They keep turning it on, John.
Yeah. But I mean, for the opposite end of the people that think it's an indictable offense to criticize Jalen Hurts, no, he did not play well. Come on, be honest with yourselves. As he did some nice things, but overall, he did not play well. And then you'll get to, well, Jordan Love did it. I'm not talking about Jordan Love. Did he play better than Jordan Love? Yeah. Was Jordan Love asked to do more? a hell of a lot more, you know. So if you're being honest with yourself, he's not playing up to the level anyone expected, but they keep winning games. So maybe he can win this way.
Yeah. I think you can. John, last question here, and we'll get to a couple super chats. And then we got a different looking Monday, everybody. We got the man, Mike Gill, is going to join us. He had to get in here one time before the trip to Thailand. So we'll talk to Mike Gill in just a little bit.
By the way, our Thailand listeners helping out Mike Gill.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Multiple ones.
Excellent.
Multiple.
That's excellent right there. That's Birds 365 Nation showing out right there. I love it. John, what you think of Kellen Moore yesterday? Man, many people are talking about him. I got to be honest. I am not impressed with the way he designs plays in the passing game. I know you're kind of the guy who pushes back on that at times and says you're just judging the results. What did you see from Kellen Moore? How do you analyze his role in the passing game that is not?
Well,
not
it's skewed. Look, it's over. It's done. You know what was advertised ain't happening. It ain't happening. You're not fixing it at this point. So if you go back to all the bullshit about motion and this and scheming people over, it's not happening. That's out of the barn. You ain't getting it back.
All right.
But they're winning a different way, and I think that speaks to Kellen Moore as a football coach. In that he got here, he tried what he wanted to try in the spring and the summer, and even early in the season, and it wasn't working to the level where you're taking advantage of the talent that you do have. And he shifted gears, and the team took off. That's what coaches should do. You shouldn't sit there and go, well, I want to play this way, so we're going to play this way. And then the Eagles are probably Green Bay, and they're probably 11-6, and they're out in the first round. So I think it's a testament to Kellen Moore as a coach. I think it's a testament to Kellen Moore as somebody who doesn't have an ego and is willing to take advantage of what he has versus what he wants to do. I think it's all good from a coaching perspective, but for those who, want to see that kind of stuff, well, they'll try it again next year. But this year, it's about winning. It's about winning next Sunday and then moving on. And they're not changing. They're not all of a sudden turning into the Kurt Warner Rams.
No.
They're going to ride Saquon Barkley, that offensive line, and that defense.
No doubt about it, John. Let's ready to rattle off a couple super chats, and we'll get to the great Mike Gill. Eduardo checks in. Green Bay's players crumbled like Wisconsin cheese. I like that chat. Good one. Trucker Beans. JM, does the organization want a playmaking quarterback or a pocket QB? The QB efficiency scares the F out of me. Yeah, Trucker, you and me both, but the only difference is I'm getting ripped for a Trucker for some reason. Don't you guys believe what you see with your own two eyes? I don't know. John, your response to Trucker Beans.
They want a quarterback who's effective in whatever way that is. So they want a quarterback that's like Jalen Hurts in 2022. And they want to get back to that. And they wanted to evolve from there, which they haven't been able to do. So, but, they've won a lot of games, 15 of them so far.
Yep.
And again, there's other ways to win. What having the type of quarterback you're describing is, it increases your margin of error. But the Eagles have decreased that difference with the offensive line and Saquon Barkley and the defense.
No doubt. Brian Garner checks in. Physical game. The game shouldn't have been that close with those turnovers. Passing game was atrocious. However, Jalen put together drives when he had to. Yeah, no, you're right.
It's bizarre. I go back to
really upset about with the turnovers was the first half. I thought being up only 10 there was an egregious spot to be after getting 3 turnovers, especially one on the first play where you got the ball at the 28-yard line. But John, your response?
Well, they scored on that one. So.
Yeah, well, that was the one, but 2 other turnovers they didn't really do much with.
No, well, one was deep in Eagles territory. That was the Slay one.
Yeah,
so,
Slay pick, which was a hell of a pick, by the way.
And they should have cashed in on the other one. But, I mean, he's right. I go back to Sunday night. So the number 1 seed game, the previous Sunday night, Sam Darnold didn't have it. And that was it. That was it. I say this all the time about the quarterbacks. Jordan Love didn't have it. That's it. That's it.
Right. It's a good point, man.
Jalen Hurts, every time he needed it, he's got this rare ability. It's so rare. I always make the starting pitcher comparison. Guy's got his good stuff. Guy doesn't have his good stuff. He's Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens, good stuff, bad stuff, indifference. He would grind through. Jalen Hurts grinds. Other guys, Jordan Love yesterday being the most notable. It didn't even have to go back to Sam. Jordan Love yesterday. You don't have it, you don't have it.
No doubt. It's a good take by you, John, man. Other teams can't survive if their quarterbacks don't thrive. All right, we got 4 super chats left. I'm going to push them off, all right, because I want to get to Mike Gill. Garner, Herman, Alexander, and John, thank you all for the support. I will get to each one of those super chats in a little bit. Let's get to our commercial break so we can talk to the great Mike Gill. Looking forward to doing that. Let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS before we get there. Use the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube150. Gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. You get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and they'll even give you your own custom account manager. So go bet on the Birds to go to the Super Bowl. 1 down, everybody. 3 to go for the Birds to get that Super Bowl win. Go to betus.com today. And a big thanks to them for sponsoring the show. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365.
Ignite.